it's Cara and today I am filming my TBR for next month's Marvel-A-Thon. So next month is the Marvel-A-Thon. It goes for the whole month. This is a Marvel Cinematic Universe inspired readathon with challenges to meet every movie in the cinematic world, so like the Avengers tie-ins, not the X-Men. And this is gonna be huge. My TBR is huge. I'm not confident at all. We're going to get as far through this as we can, but because this is a month-long readathon, so this is essentially my TBR for the month, but it is a readathon, so I'm going to share with you my TBR in this own special video here for you to enjoy. I believe the readathon's hosted by Jamie Shelves. I will try and leave the links to all the info down below. I'm not going to be vlogging this time, but I'm going to be live tweeting for this month-long readathon. So if you want to see my updates throughout the month, check out my Twitter, which will be linked down below. So this readathon is kind of complex in the rules. There's lots of different rules, but essentially it's broken down to 3 phases for each of the phases of the cinematic universe. You're supposed to complete phase 1 before you move on to phase 2, and so on and so forth. You get 2 skips per round and they can build up. So if you don't skip anything the first round, you can have 4 skips the next round. You can also buddy read, and if you buddy read a book with someone, you can take another one of their books from that phase and add it, and not have to read it, if that makes sense. So you can kind of share reads to get through this easier, but I don't have anyone to buddy read with, so I probably won't be doing that. But that is another thing that's part of this thing. Otherwise, each movie has a challenge. You can read whatever you want to meet that challenge, interpret it however you want. And yes, so I'll show you what I'll be hopefully reading. So first off in phase 1 is Iron Man, and that's the first book in a series. And for that, I'm hoping to read The Smoke Thieves by Sally Green. I'm actually hoping I will have started this before, right at the end of this month, and we'll be finishing it in June. Because I was hoping to read this in May, but it just did not happen. I mean, I still got a little bit of time in May, but I've got other things that are just before this, and just don't think I'm going to get to this one, or at least not through it fully. So my plan is to start this in May when I get to it, probably right at the end of May, and then keep going into June. So that's my plan with that one, so I hope to finish this for the first challenge. Also, I do have a book for every single challenge, but I will allow myself to skip if I'm getting behind. I'm also not going to stick to the phase 1, 2, 3 order, but I'm not going to count phase 3 in my final results if I don't complete phase 1, if that makes sense. But I'm not going to read strictly in that order. Then we have Hulk, which is a book with a green cover, and for that I'm going to be reading Sight Witch by Susan Dennard. This is the sequel novella to Truth Witch and Wind Witch. Wind Witch is also going to be in this haul, but obviously I'm doing these in the order that they're on the... I think my light just went out. Apologies, we're in darkness. I can't do much about it right now. Sight Witch is also in this TBR for a different challenge. I will be reading that first, then Wind Witch first, then Sight Witch, but Sight Witch is going to match the green because this has green undertones on the front, but also the side is very much green, as is the back. Then we have Iron Man 2, which is an unpopular book because Iron Man 2 is apparently the worst film in the universe. And for that, I'm going to be reading The Merry Wives of Windsor by Shakespeare because that's the next Shakespeare I'm up to. And I haven't heard, it's not a big one, it's not a famous one, so I'm going to be reading that for that. Then we have Thor, which is a book involving myth or mythology, and I'm going to hopefully be reading The Tea Dragon Society by Katie O'Neill. It's coming in at my library, so hopefully it's in time. But if I can't get to that, I might read The Falconer by Elizabeth May, or I might use this as my skip, so we'll see how we go. Then we have Captain America, which is a book set in or written during World War II, and for this I'm hoping to listen to the audiobook for Codename Verity by Elizabeth Vine, or if that doesn't work out, there's a short story and the Radical Element collection, which I'm also hoping to maybe get to in June. And I might read that. There's one of those set in World War II, I believe. So something might happen there, otherwise that might also be a skip. Then we have The Avengers, which is a book with multiple perspectives. So for that, I am reading Wind Witch by Susan Dennard, which I've already talked about. This is the sequel to Truth Witch by Susan Dennard. Then we go into Phase 2, and book 1 for Phase 2 is Iron Man 3, a book that will challenge you. I have picked Every Exquisite Thing by Cassandra Clare, which is the next ebook novella in the Ghost of the Shadow Market series, and the challenge here is to read it as fast as I possibly can. So we'll see how I go. Then we have Thor: The Dark World, which is a book that involves siblings, and for this I'm going to be reading The Lightning Bolt by Kate Forsyth. This is a middle grade, little tiny adventure story with decorated edges. Set in London-ish, like over England during Oliver Cromwell's rule, with following gypsies. And I have both books 5 and 6, which are the last 2 in the series, on this TBR. So this is the first one of those 2. I've read books 1 through 4, really enjoyed them, but I need to finish the series finally. Then we have Captain America: Winter Soldier, and this is a book where the main character is a villain or an anti-hero. For this, I'll be reading People Like Us by Dana Mealy, and this is a young adult thriller, I believe, with a lot of mystery elements, and I believe the main character's not that great. So I'm going to be using this for that category. This is new, by the way. I will be hauling it soon. Then we have Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1, and that is a book set in, written about, or written during somehow the 80s. And for that, I'll be reading My Favorite Thing is Monsters by Emile Ferris, which is set in the 80s, and it's a graphic novel. I don't even know how to describe it. It's got monsters and stuff, obviously. I believe it's not that horror-y, more dark and gritty, and then everything's portrayed as monsters because it's through the written drawings of a 10-year-old girl. But I don't know, this is huge. That light's just bugging me. This is thick and big, but also a lot of the pages are not heavy on text or anything. So yes. Then we have Age of Ultron, which was that an Avengers movie? Age of Ultron? Or is it Captain America? I can't even remember. Age of Ultron, and that is a book involving an AI, an artificial intelligence. For that, I'm going to be reading Paper Girls Volume 4 by Brian K. Vaughan and Cliff Chang. I've read Volumes 1 to 3, loved them. And this is time travel-y, set in the future, so I'm pretty sure there's an AI in this. There's a robot on the back, so I'm pretty confident. Then we have Ant-Man, which is a book involving a heist or thieves, and for that we'll be reading The Thief by Megan Wallen-Turner. Another book that was on my TBR for May, but it's just not happening. This is short, so that's going to be in my favour for the readathon, hopefully. This is a young adult, old school young adult fantasy. Then in Phase 3, we start off with Captain America Civil War, and that is a book about rivals or enemies. And I will be reading Thunderhead by Neil Shusterman, which is about to drop. I actually believe it arrived early at my bookstore, according to the website, but I will have to go buy it still, so I don't have it physically. This is the sequel to Scythe by Neil Shusterman, which I read earlier this year and loved. So I'm very excited to be reading Thunderhead. It's like a utopia, dystopia future. It's great. Then we have Doctor Strange, a book involving medicine in some way. And for that, I'll be reading Volume 6 or Volume 7, which is this one, of Giant Days by John Allison. I have these out from the library, but number 6 hasn't arrived yet. Number 7 is due back, it's overdue now. But number 6 hasn't arrived yet. So I'll have to hand this back in and re-request it again, because someone else has requested to borrow it. And hopefully Volume 6 will come in for June. Hopefully. And I'll be reading that for this, because one of the main characters is a med student. Then we have Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, a book set in or involving space. And I'll be reading Waking Gods by Sylvain Neuvel. I read Sleeping Giants this past month or late last month. Very recently. I loved it and I'm so keen to get back into this world. I'm just like dying, and I will definitely be reading this next month. So this is definitely one that's going to be ticked off. Obviously it's an adult sci-fi involving space. Then we have Spider-Man, a YA book involving secrets, and for that I'm going to be reading the exact opposite of OK, which is about a scandal. Photos emerge of our main character with a politician's son. That sounds like a secret to me. This is a new book again that I've only recently bought and I'm super excited about it. I've heard great things and it looks amazing. Also, this cover is so detailed and gorgeous, and there's a llama on the back. Next we have Thor Ragnarok, and that is a popular book because Ragnarok is apparently the most well-received Marvel Cinematic Universe movie so far. So my popular book that I've picked to have something light and easy in this TBR is Orange Future by Ishiguro Takano, and this is the sequel continuation to the Orange duology. It's a manga series, and Orange is insanely popular. So I read the first two the other month and I picked this up because it's brand new. Then we have Avengers Infinity War, and this is supposed to be a book that fulfills multiple challenges. So as long as it's a book that could be in any of the two other categories, you can read it. Did I mention you can only read one book per category? You can't double up. That's the thing. So this is a book that would have met multiple of the challenges. So for that, I'm reading The Bear and the Nightingale by Catherine Arden, and this is meeting the challenges of a book about myth and mythology because it's got Russian folklore, and also first book in a series. Then we have Black Panther, an own voices book with a black main character, and for that I'm going to be reading The Obelisk Gate by N.K. Jemisin. Although this is a fantasy world, I'm pretty sure it's clearly very obvious that the main character is black. But like black in the context of this fantasy world. So I'm rolling with it, and N.K. Jemisin is definitely own voices for that. So this is an adult fantasy sci-fi blend that is amazing. This is book 2 in a series, and The Broken Earth trilogy, and it is so good. Then we have Captain Marvel, which is a book with a female main character, and for this I'll be reading The Butterfly in Amber, which is book 6 of the Chain of Charms series by Kate Forsyth, which I mentioned earlier. So this is the last one in this series, and one of our we have a pair of main characters, Amelia and Luca, and obviously Amelia's female, so they're scouts. And then finally we have The Avengers 4, which is a book you know absolutely nothing about, or you know nothing about. Absolutely is probably not the right term, because I've taken this pretty vaguely and gone with something I know very little about. And so for this I'll be reading Neverworld Wake by Marisha Pessl, which is coming out early June, sorry. And this is Marisha Pessl's newest release. It's a YA, and I believe it's a thriller. That's about all I know. So this definitely fulfills that challenge. So thank you for watching. This is my huge Marvel-A-Thon TBR. TBR. Hopefully you'll be participating. Let me know down below if you are, and definitely go check out my Twitter and link with me on there, because I will be chatting about the readathon throughout the whole month. And also get on my back if I'm not tweeting, please. Keep an eye out for all those updates, and otherwise I will see you soon with another video. Thank you. Bye.